Hearties and Hardos, we're back. I'm still very depressed right now, Spinny. Not gonna lie. I know it's bad vibes to start the episode off like this, but I'm still depressed about last night, man. The Wolves season coming to an end.
Yeah, it was a tough one last night, man.
So tough to watch.
The effort just wasn't there overall. That was tough, especially on defense. It just
Yeah,
looked like we had given up. After
right.
that little 17-1 run, and then they came out in the third so flat, and it was just like, damn, I don't know if this is gonna happen.
Yeah, it's like what were you guys talking about in the locker room? It's nothing changed in the first 5 minutes of that third quarter.
And even Ant did get hot there for a bit, and it was like,
Right.
okay, is something gonna happen? And then no.
Well, episode 104, Spinny. I have somebody for this, believe it or
Oh, you
not.
do?
Yes. I am sticking to the running theme. This one might
Hmm.
even one up the ultimate triathloner that we had a couple episodes ago, believe it or not. This lady, Jackie Hunt Beresma, sorry if I butchered her last name. She ran 104 marathons in 104 straight days in 2022. And guess what, Spinny? This lady below her left knee doesn't even have a leg. She did it
Wow.
with, yeah, she's an amputee, and she ran 104 straight marathons. Can you believe that?
So this one is marathons. 102 is triathlons. 104 is marathons.
104 straight marathons in 104 days. She lost her left leg below her knee to a rare cancer and still was able to do this at the age of 46. She was in 2022. This is so impressive. So shout out Jackie Hunt Beresma. This is your episode, girl. Go crazy.
That's lit.
Now, let's get to it, man. We got so much basketball to talk about. Let's get after it. Headlines for episode 104. We got started out. Rest in peace to maybe classic. Now I'm the one forgetting to stop the music, not spinning this time. Rest in peace, though, to Bill Walton. Maybe the biggest what if in NBA history, Spinny. He's definitely up there in one of them. I mean, this is a guy who he was absolutely balling to start his career in his third season in the NBA. He was out here averaging where's his points per game? 19, 14 and a half boards and 4 assists with 3 blocks per game. This was at age 24. And at age 25, he won the MVP and a title for the Portland Trailblazers, and then started being his career being derailed by number of foot injuries. But Spinny, this is really one of the biggest what ifs in NBA history.
Yeah, big shout out to Bill. And not only in that playing career, there's been so many examples of people who have come out since his passing and talking about the man that he was and all the stuff
Exactly.
he personally did for them. So shout out to him for that. I just wanted to quote Jeff Van Gundy's experience about man taking his dad out there, and Bill getting him this private, super expensive tour of the ship he was on in Korea, and basically spending the whole weekend with Van Gundy's dad. And then the guy died not that long later. So just kind of a crazy look into how really personal Bill was. Van Gundy originally had just called to see to have Bill get him hotels in San Diego, and Bill refused to let him stay at a hotel and made him stay at his house, and then all of that other stuff. So just some crazy stories from everyone that had experienced Bill Walton just like that. So crazy what a guy he was on top of the awesome playing career he had.
Yeah, for sure. Everybody that has been around him, Larry Bird, Kareem, et cetera, they all comment more on what he meant to them off the court than on the court. So he was a tremendous guy, huge in civil rights and all of that back in the day. Like he gets this brand as a hippie, but He is a truly extraordinary human being, and rest in peace, Bill Walton. That's for sure.
Yeah, and he was himself too. Love Bill.
Exactly.
Love the late night Pac-12 games. Also,
He
just
was so
love
wild
that.
on games, man. He was crazy
Oh
sometimes.
my god, this man just says whatever he wants, and I love
Yeah,
it. Got some hate for it, but no caring about that at all, which I
unapologetically
absolutely
him.
love.
Yeah,
Yes, unapologetically him, and he was an awesome person with that. So it's awesome.
right.
Just
Exactly.
R.I.P. to a great guy.
To the golf world, Spinny, as expected here, Scotty Scheffler gets his charges dropped. We thought this was kind of a ludicrous story when it came out, that we thought it was a clear misunderstanding. Turns out it definitely was a clear misunderstanding. They definitely didn't have enough evidence based on that video we saw. It didn't even look like there was a cop attached to the car. Obviously, you couldn't see the one side of the vehicle. But either way, he drove like 5 miles an hour and drove like 15 feet. So I don't want to downplay the cop's injuries if he was in fact injured in this, but it was just a clear misunderstanding from the get go.
Yeah. Yeah. Cop was disciplined for the incident,
Oh, he was. I
and
didn't even see that. Okay.
yes, says cop was disciplined for the incident, not fired or any of
Right.
that stuff, but some type of discipline for the incident. So it just seemed to be an overplay. Glad we got it all figured out.
Yeah, for sure. Two different extensions. Ty Lue. Get ready for your rumors of Ty Lue jumping to the other LA team because he signed an extension to stay with the Clippers. 5 years, 70 mil to put him right around top five. Highest paid coaches in the league at 14 mil a year. Do you think Ty Lue is worth 14 mil a year, Spinny?
I mean, I kind of do think that Ty Lue's like a top five-ish coach in the league. So I don't
He's
know
definitely
what.
close. So I mean,
Yeah, I don't know what worth 5 mil a year is, but on off the top of my head, like I'd probably take Spolstra. I'd take
Spolstra, Kerr,
Kerr,
Popovich.
Popovich.
Then it's like
Then I can't like name anybody because then we're
there's
getting
not
to
any
like
for sure.
the
There's
Frank Vogel and Doc and
Mike Malone.
Monty Williams. Like that's the category we're getting
Right.
to. And I don't know if I'm taking any of those guys over Ty Lue, I guess, if I'm being real.
What about your man's Joe?
Come on. Come on.
You take a Ty Lue over Joe Mazzulla?
Yeah. Also, if you don't have a championship, I guess I'm not really putting you in consideration. Maybe
Right.
Nick Nurse is in that category also. Guy gets a little
Okay.
bit overplayed, overshadowed, I think. I still
What
think he's a
about
good coach.
what about Bud?
I hate Bud.
I
I'm
know you do.
biased
That's why
against
to bring him
Bud.
up. But you
I
mentioned the
mean,
championship.
yeah.
You did.
Probably Bud's probably in that category too. I have a sports dislike for that man, hardcore. So I'm gonna choose
That's
to
been well
leave him off
established
my
here.
own list. It's been
Yeah.
well established for sure.
Yeah, I think he's worth it. It was a no-brainer decision from the Clippers standpoint. I mean, he's definitely the best coach they've had in recent memory. So they're obviously still going to be trying to win. So why not just keep him around? That was definitely the right move by them. And he's obviously he's well liked by the players too, which is like the number one thing. If the players support him, then you definitely want to keep him around. The other extension, NFL, Jaylen Waddle gets 3 years, 84.75 million with 76 guaranteed. That's basically 25 mil a year. I feel like that's pretty hefty price tag to pay for a WR2, considering you're also already paying Tyreek Hill $30 million. But what do you think about this, Spinny?
Yeah, I mean, $55 million essentially
For
per
two
year in
receivers, man.
receivers
Yeah.
is a lot. But I feel like that's where they built their team. That's kind of what they're going with. So I get it. In my opinion, the fourth most important position in the game. Like I think we're starting to get to a point where wide receivers are as important as like tackles and DNs. I think they're getting to that point. I think quarterback's obviously number one, and then I think the next three is tackle and receiver. However order you want to put that in, or however you want to do that, but none of the best teams, other than the team with the quarterback who's so outlandishly better than everybody, that it makes sense. Other than that, all the top teams have a pretty established WR1. So I think you do need it, and I think you're probably gonna have to pay a guy in that range. Now paying two guys, A little bit outside the box, but I do think Waddle's worth it given how they use him and how their offense is.
I think he's worth it too. It just kind of confuses me because, like, I know Tua's due an extension here. So it's like, are you really going to have your three highest paid players be the quarterback and two receivers, and not one of them be a
But
lineman or a defensive player? Like, I just don't think that's the way you should build your team if you want to and ultimately win it all, right? Like, that's the goal. I mean, we saw
I
the
also
Chiefs won it with arguably, like, everyone was talking about how shitty the Chiefs receivers are, right? They still won it all. So it's like,
but I think Tua's going to going to take a discount if he's going to stay. I do not think they're going to pay him
right,
that top money. I think Tua's getting 30 to 35 a year from Miami, and I do not think they're paying him more than that. I really don't. And so if you're, especially with where the quarterback contracts are going, with all the top 10 guys probably going to be getting paid in that $50 million range, if you can get somebody in the $35 million range like Tua, then it's okay to pay your two receivers what you're paying them, especially with the cap going up and all that stuff. But that's going to be the deal. And if not, they're going to get rid of him. They're going to draft somebody. I don't think they value Tua enough to pay him that Kirk Cousins, that, mid-court, that Jared Goff. Like, I don't think he's getting that contract from Miami with the injury history.
Yeah, I wouldn't give him that money either, just given the injury history, like you said. I don't know. It's kind of it's questionable to me. I don't disagree though that he is worth that money individually. Jaylen Waddle's worth $25 million a year. Like, he's very talented and would be a WR1 on a different type of team for sure.
Also, just more mess ups by the Dallas and Minnesota front offices. The CeeDee Lamb and Justin Jefferson contracts are just going up by the day. Because if Jaylen Waddle's getting $25 million guaranteed, like $35 million guaranteed might not be enough at this point, which is insane.
Which is insane.
That's what we're gonna have. That's what we're talking about. Like, we're talking about 5 years, 175-ish guaranteed for Justin Jefferson.
Now,
can we pay him before CeeDee Lamb, please? Please, pay him before CeeDee Lamb.
I agree, 100%. I do feel a little more better. I do feel better about that. Sorry, grammar's hard. Because JJ's on a rookie deal, right? McCarthy. That helps. Yeah. They're paying Dak a shit ton of money, and they have to try to pay CD now too. That's going to be a mess in Dallas.
Also, a chance Dak doesn't get paid again. I think they stripped down the offense. Yeah, not to get on a tangent here real quick, but I do think Dallas really stripped down their offense, really said, hey, Dak, you got to show us you can be good with CeeDee Lamb, and that's it. And if you can't, we're not giving you the big deal. Like, if you're not the quarterback that actually adds to wins and you're just that slightly above league average, we're not paying you.
Right.
It'll be interesting to see how that pans.
Yeah, it will be for sure. Well, let's jump to the Wolves and Mavericks. As we all know, the Wolves season came to a close after we got obliterated in Game 5. We lost 4-1. Gentlemen swept. Obviously did not see this coming. I thought it would be a 6 or 7 game series, and I thought for sure Minnesota would win. Now, let's dive into it a little bit, Spinny. What are your vibes about Ant? So obviously he was getting all this comparisons to Michael Jordan through the first 2 series and whatnot. Everyone is just freaking out about what he's doing at the age of 22, right? But now I feel like this series, since he's been struggling, I've heard a lot of backlash and people like really, really roasting him. So I'm interested in hearing what your vibe is about Anthony Edwards.
All right. Well, I'm gonna use a quote right here because I think it is the best way to make the comparison. Credit to the way more famous than us Nick Wright for this graphic, so I stole it from. But I think it just epitomizes Ant's season as a whole and stops the Minnesota Classic fan overreaction. Players 22 or under to do these 3 things. Average 25 a game, reach the conference finals, and be first or second team All-NBA. So
25 a game, regular season stats?
And playoffs together.
Both, okay.
Yep, both. Okay? These 6. 2001 Kobe, All-NBA second team, 29-6-5. That team won the finals. Kobe was not the best player on that team, however, had a teammate, Shaq, who was a top 5 NBA player and scored 35 a game in the finals. Okay, that team made it farther than us. 2005, Amari Stoudemire lost in the conference finals, 26-9, All-NBA second team. Again, wasn't the best player in his team probably. Steve Nash, the back-to-back MVP at that point. They lost in the conference finals, didn't make it farther than the Wolves. 2007, LeBron James, that All-NBA second team, 27-7-6. They make the finals. Okay, so the only player to go farther and do better than Ant right now is LeBron James, who's a top 2 player of all time. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
2011, Derrick Rose, 25-8-4. They lost in the same round as us, the conference finals. He was obviously the MVP. That's the only player that I think can argue his team might be worse than Ant's. Like
Derrick Rose and the Bulls, you're saying?
Yes, other than LeBron, obviously. But Derrick Rose and the Bulls did not. He was the best player, clear cut. And I think Cat is better than whoever you want to consider the second best player on that team. But they made it to the same spot as us. Derrick Rose, obviously, injuries that derailed his career. 2011 as well, Kevin Durant, first team All-NBA, 27-7-3. They lost in the conference finals. Team with Harden and Westbrook on it that I definitely think is better than this Wolves team right now. And then Ant, this year, 26-5-5, All-NBA second team, lost in the conference finals.
So Kobe, give me those 6 names again. Yeah.
Kobe, Amari, LeBron, D. Rose, KD, and Ant. Only players 22 or under to average 25, reach the conference finals, and be All-NBA first or second team.
And literally the only 2 to make it farther than Anthony Edwards. Kobe, who had prime Shaq, who was better than Kobe at that time, and LeBron James, a unanimous top 2 player of all time.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think, like my headline says, it's still an Ant we trust. Like, what are we talking about here? This dude did things that is not normal at the age of 22. Did he maybe disappear come conference finals? Yeah, he did. But, like, that should be expected. He was never in this situation before. He had to be the best player. And it obviously doesn't help when your second and third best players, a.k.a. Cat and Rudy, don't step up either, right? That puts even more attention onto you too. So it's definitely still in Ant we trust. I've been losing my mind at these like really super harsh criticisms he's been receiving. Now we call him superstar, right? So he deserves superstar hate. I'm not saying he shouldn't be criticized at all, but like some of this outlandish stuff I'm hearing, like, oh, he will never be that guy. It's just ludicrous. It's like, come on, what are we talking about? He's doing things that we've never seen done at this age, or rarely, as you pointed out.
Yeah, and he got beat from a guy. He got beat by a best player who every season except his rookie season has been first team All-NBA.
Literally.
Averages over 30 a game in his playoff games. Has scored 30 plus in 25 of his 45 career playoff games. 30 plus in 25 of the 45 career playoff games for Luka Doncic.
In over half. In like 60%.
Insane. So, credit to Luka. Sorry for underestimating him. I mean, I'm about to do it again, preview for the next series, but sorry for underestimating him in a series where he was clearly the best player. And Kyrie, apparently it's 2018. And we're getting the best of everything Kyrie is, because crazy. Credit to Luka, credit to Cuban, credit to
Jason Kidd,
Jason Kidd, and the Dallas organization for embracing Kyrie, letting him be who he is, and like fostering a caring about him situation, because I think that has really been a huge part of him flourishing.
I completely agree.
Before we move on, I just want to break some news real quick, because this is kind of wild. I don't even know where to go this. Gable Steveson, Olympic gold medalist, wrestler from the University of Minnesota. Gable Steveson, one of the most dominant college wrestlers in NCAA history, is signing with the Bills to play defensive line. The 6'1" Steveson is expected to play defensive line, which is something he hasn't done before in his athletic career. In fact, the first time Stevenson ever put on a pair of cleats was the recent workout with Buffalo. Gable Steveson, defensive line for the Buffalo Bills.
Like they're actually signed to
via
a
Adam
deal, or just let
Schefter.
him come work?
He's signed. Adam Schefter, according to him, is signing with the Bills. So some type of contract is being signed. What do you think about that, Bus?
Shout out my boy Gable. This man out here getting NCAA championships. He's getting an Olympic gold medal. He's going to WWE. He's now
A
in the NFL.
standard rookie 3-year deal for Stevenson.
Let's go. That's sweet. Like, why not? You can teach all the fundamentals and the X's and O's of football, right? You could teach that to him. He's a smart guy. I'm sure he's going to be able to learn it. Now, obviously, at the NFL level, there's it's pretty steep. Like, it's not like he's just learning a high school playbook, right? So it's going to be hard for him. I'm not saying it won't be, but you can't teach that athletic ability he has. That you cannot teach. So why not?
And sounds like he's a potential practice squad candidate in 2024. Right. They know it's going to be raw, going to be a long-term type situation. Other teams were interested as well. Teams are not named, but it says several other teams were interested in pursuing Stevenson in a similar way. So, pretty crazy, though.
That's so crazy. Oh, my gosh. I'm glad you brought that up. Back to the Wolves, Mavs. Spinny, just give me your general thoughts about the Wolves season. Again, I'm seeing some Wolves fans just being negative Nellies. Obviously, that's probably just heat of the moment stuff, right? So I'm sure maybe there's better vibes out there on social media today. But you got to be nothing but proud about this team, right? I mean, second conference finals in 20 years. Like, what more do we have to do, right?
I mean, the only concern, I guess, for me is just the attitudes I saw towards Ant specifically in the last 3 games of that finals. I saw Rudy rolling his eyes. I saw Cat just kind of being complacent as heck. And so that does worry me a little bit. If we're getting some of that at the biggest moments, and it seemed like the things that Ant was saying, especially when you were watching the game, hearing the sideline stuff, that type of stuff seemed like good, telling them what they needed to do, all that type of thing. I was just kind of disappointed in the body language I got from most of the other players, especially in reference to Anthony Edwards.
Yeah, the body language wasn't good. That could also be just chalked up to the game and the series itself. Like, those guys obviously didn't have great series, so maybe they were just more frustrated with themselves and how the games were going than specifically Ant. But yeah, either way, the body language was not good by any of that, which is uncommon, right? Like, throughout the season, like, body language was extremely positive from the Wolves. And that was definitely one of the staples of our team, if I'm being honest. The bench energy and everything.
I don't know if Cat is a 2 on a championship team. I have been saying that a lot. I thought
he's
maybe
a 2B at best, right? Like, we need someone at least at his level.
We need another guard that can score guard or wing that can score the basketball off the dribble.
Correct.
Maybe that's Jaylen. Maybe Jaden's improvement is something, because we did see flashes of it.
Yeah.
We did see flashes of it. So maybe Jaden's that guy. I don't know. Maybe somebody else is, but we need another option related to Karl Anthony Towns, because I don't know if you can have him be your definitive 2 on a championship team. Also, Rudy got play off the floor. One of those things that we
classic
had seen before with Utah, and not as much this season, but definitely saw in that series.
Yeah, for sure. I'm positive about the Wolves, man. Like, for second conference finals in franchise history. This was arguably, actually, it was the best season in franchise history. You go to the regular season, we had the most wins we've ever had. We had a second-team All-NBA player. We had 2 All-Stars. We had the DPOY. We had the 6-man. Like, I absolutely love this team. I loved watching them from start to finish. I guess last night was a brutal game to watch, so maybe I don't throw that one in there. But I love this team. I love what they accomplished this year. And now, obviously, my expectations have raised for next year, though. I will say that. Let's jump to the finals, though, Spinny. Let's talk some brief storylines here, quick. How about KP and Kyrie going against their former teams? Which are you most excited? It's got to be Kyrie playing the Celtics, right?
Oh, Kyrie game 1 in Boston. I'm already thinking about that shit, man. I think it's going to be wild.
That man's going to hear some crazy stuff from fans.
Oh yeah, but I don't know if I want
Yeah,
Kyrie getting yelled at.
that's what
Can
I'm
we
saying.
just be nice to him?
It's not
Can we
good.
just say nice
Not good.
things to him instead? Because, man, that's a guy
Yeah,
that I
Luca,
don't
you don't
want to
want to
give
piss him off.
any extra motivation. Luca,
Yeah,
I can piss off. Because I feel like Luca kind of gets. Like, I more like Luca when he's the one pissing people off. When Luca gets pissed off, I feel like it can go either way. Sometimes it can be too much and he gets inefficient and takes bad shots. So Luca, I'm more okay with. Kyrie, like, I don't need him any more focused than he already is. Because if that man is focused and engaged, I don't know if there's a cat in the league that can guard him.
yeah. No, you're right. You are right. I just what do you think Kyrie's gonna stomp on the logo?
I hope so.
Can you imagine a Game 7 loss by the Celtics and Kyrie's just stomping on the Celtics logo and gets a ring in Boston? You would
Oh,
lose your mind as
man.
a Celtics fan, wouldn't you?
Yes, that would not be the most ideal situation.
So how about these storylines? What are you looking forward to watching Tatum and Brown, a more experienced Tatum and Brown in their second finals, or watching Luca, who seems to step up in every single big moment, no matter what type of moment it is, in his first finals?
I mean, personally, obviously, I'm more excited for Tatum and Brown. Again, I would hope. I'm just excited, like, if they win, like, the type of jump we're talking about. I mean, Tatum's then guaranteed top five player, like, in the league.
Right.
And, he's pushing that top three area. People are going to definitely be at least talking about giving it to him. Um, and I think Brown is pushing, you got, depending on performances, obviously, but if we see a similar to Eastern Conference Finals performance from Jaylen Brown, like, you got to be talking that superstars range. I know he's a two. I know it's a lot. I know it's kind of crazy, but like if we're getting that upper 20s a game on good percentage shooting in the finals, like I think it's got to be in consideration. So like that jump for those two is crazy, but also like if Luka just wins his first finals like that and comes out in a series, the NBA Finals that a lot of all-time greats have struggled in, if he just walks in and wins it, like that's the best
That,
player in the like Luka's the best player in the world if the Mavs win the championship.
that's why I'm most excited to see Luca because he has never failed to step up to the moment, like I said. So it's going to be interesting to see if the NBA Finals is if the lights are a little too bright for him, or if he just once again answers the bell. Right, he's done it time and time again in his career. So I just can't wait to see him ball out in the finals because I know he's not going to be scared of the moment when it comes down. Fourth quarter, 2 minutes left in the game. Like Luca just feeds off those moments. Him and Kyrie too. Obviously, we've seen Kyrie in this exact situation before, so that's obviously going to be fun watching Kyrie in his second finals. Or you get what I mean. Second main finals, he was hurt for one of those Cavs finals, but he's going to be balling out. Should we get into the keys here, Spinny?
Yeah. Oh, let's get into the
Well, actually,
keys.
let one quick roast here.
Oh,
How about Grant Williams? That man's somewhere punching air right now. The Celtics and Mavs are playing in the finals. He is punching air so hard.
also, yeah, that's crazy. That is a fat L by him. Um, Also, one last shout out to Jason Kidd. Last time the Mavs made the finals, he was their point guard. Now he's their head coach. I think
Hell yeah.
he has become a very good coach, and it's shown in the Wolves series. It's shown in the Thunder series the different ways he's attacked and really schemed against the team he's playing. So huge credit to Jason Kidd.
For real. I mean, the growth he's made from when he was the Bucks coach to now,
Mm-hmm.
it's insane. It's incredible.
Insane.
It's like back then we were like, is this man like given his IQ on the court, is he just never going to be able to translate this to coaching? Like there were serious questions if you'd ever be a good coach with his
Yeah.
performance on the Bucks, but he's answered it now. To finish this little finals preview, Spinny, we are going to talk offensive and defensive keys for the Mavs and Celtics. I'm going to discuss the Mavs. He's going to discuss the Celtics. We have not talked about this. It's going to be interesting to see if my Mavs offensive keys can correlate with what Spinny thinks the Celtics need to do defensively and vice versa. So, Spinny, I'll start shouting out some Mavs offensive keys for a series win. Obviously, since I picked the Mavs for this exercise, I'm taking the Mavs in this series in 7. You're clearly, based on your headline, taking the Seas in 6, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Here we go. Offensive keys for the Mavs. Continuing to attack mismatches off the pick and roll. As we know, that's their bread and butter. Keep doing that with Kyrie and Luka. I don't think they're going to be scared of KP at all. So they're probably going to want KP and Horford switch onto them a lot. Now, with that being said, there's obviously 4 good perimeter defenders on the Celtics. So they will likely be putting Tatum on one of the bigs so that Tatum is switching on to him rather. I would assume that's what the adjustment would be for the Celtics, but that nonetheless is an offensive key for the Mavs. Play at their offensive pace, which is kind of a slower pace. You don't want to be so up tempo like the Celtics. You need to knock down open threes, obviously. PJ, Derek Jones, these guys are going to get hell open looks. They need to knock them down. Otherwise, they stand no chance. And like we mentioned last week, Luka continuing to execute these late help scenarios is going to be huge, whether it be the lob, the late kick out, etc. He always seems to find the guy at the last possible second. If he continues to execute those reads, they're going to be tough to beat because they'll continue to get wide open looks. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. Obviously, another main one would be embracing the moment down the stretch, which Luka and Kyrie do every single game, it seems like. So those are the main things I thought the Mavs need to focus in on offensively.
Season on defense. Keep Kyrie and Luka as inefficient as possible. How do you do that? We're going to see a lot of doubles off the pick and roll, I think. A lot of crash doubles right off the pick and roll.
Yep.
Especially with the way the C's help and Brown or Tatum or even Holiday and White being that help defender. Any of those guys I'm fine with, even if they're undersized on the matchup with Lively and Gafford as the roller. I think that the ability to trust all those guys coming over and helping and making Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford make the right decision and beat you. And they're passing to either, like you said, Washington, Jones, Jaden Hardy. Make those guys beat you. That's your game plan if you're Boston. Also, on the switch, letting them shoot the 3 from the wing and helping more to the corner on that swing. I think Washington and Jones are significantly better corner shooters. So
yes,
if you can hedge help there where they're not going to extra to the corner and they're going to take the wing 3, I think that that's something that can help percentages wise make those guys have to make that tougher shots. You got to turn Dallas over. We saw the Timberwolves' success when they did that and getting out in transition. The Celtics are unstoppable in transition. They make good decisions. Basically, everybody can score at a high level. I think those are the main keys, and also getting steals. It helps you play at a faster tempo, which is something we'll talk about later that I think Boston needs to do. Last thing on the Celtics D that I forgot, probably the number one most important thing, especially if Kristaps Porzingis is not 100%, and that is rebounding the basketball. I saw Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford kick the Wolves' ass on the boards, which should not have happened, but it is a thing that Boston cannot allow them to do. Seems like KP is going to be healthy by then with as long a rest as he have. Having him and Horford really helps you out in that end, but you're still going to need to get the rebounding from Tatum and Brown and those guards crashing and making sure that we're not letting Washington and Jones and Gafford and Lively crash with nobody on the box out.
Yeah, those are really good points. Kind of with the switching aspect, I think the Celtics can veer a lot more. So with the help defender, if Luka's on the drive, that just means the help defender comes up and switches onto them. Luka's guy who's trailing behind him, like we saw McDaniels constantly, would run then to the corner or wherever the veer help came from. I like that for the Celtics standpoint because then you're getting guys like Derek Jones, PJ catching the ball and needing to make a quick decision because they got a guy flying at them. Rather than we saw in the Wolves, they just make the extra pass to PJ, just standing there wide open, right? So I think that's an interesting aspect of the Celtics D, given their 4 perimeter defenders that they have and their ability to switch. So I'm assuming they're going to be veering a lot in this series. You mentioned it, rebounding. That was the number one thing I wrote down for Mavs defensive keys. They need to win the rebound battle. They will not win this series if they don't win the rebound battle. They need to win the points in the paint and the rebound battle. They need to continue to be highly efficient in those areas like they were against the Wolves. They did it against the size of the Wolves, so why can't they do it against the Celtics, right? Like, I fully expect them to do that, and I'll be pretty disappointed if they can't win the rebound battle against the Celtics when they just did against a team that has 3 7-footers in their rotation. And Jaden McDaniels is 6'10", basically a 4 7-footer. Another defensive point. Protect the paint and force contested jumpers. That's basically the recipe for the Wolves, right? They kept us out of the paint and forced us to take open contested looks, right? So that's the recipe. You want to force the Celtics into jump shots because that's been their biggest downfall offensively is when they get a little jump shot happy and start just letting it fly. Now, obviously, they're very elite three-point shooters, so they can knock them down. But I think that's the ultimate game plan there. Like, you don't want them to get to the rim at will, like we see both Jays do often. So force contested jumpers, harass the ball handler, right? Sometimes Drew's been having turnover games in the playoffs. We've seen that time and time again. Jaylen Brown doesn't really have that good of a handle, so you definitely want to harass him. Force turnovers. Another one very, very minor thing that most people don't even notice, but you need to continue to funnel your drivers. So, yeah, you want to keep them out of the paint, but when they drive, you want to continue to funnel them to your help defense. They did such a terrific job at that in the Wolves game, hence why Gafford was absolutely murdering us with blocks because they kept funneling who's ever guarding the driver was pushing the driver to the help defense. They need to keep doing that because that's really their only chance if they want to beat the Celtics, if I'm being honest. That's kind of what I'm thinking. And I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, don't shoot hella jumpers for the Celtics.
Yeah, I mean a lot of things that match up here. The Celtics have to stay in transition as much as possible. Yes. Throw the ball, play fast. You got to make Dallas play fast. If you're going to play Dallas's half-fast, half-hearted, slow tempo, the way Luka likes to play, you're going to lose. I think you got to take advantage of your speed and athleticism, playing fast, pushing the pace. Luka and Kyrie have to be involved in the darn actions. That was driving me wild in the Wolves series. Like, don't let them stand in the corner and rest for the defensive possessions.
You actually started seeing it. That's why it was great. Like, all the shit I give Kyle Anderson, he actually recognized that off ball. They're going to hide Luka on the worst defender, right? Yep. Well, if you're not setting the ball screen with his guy, which sometimes if you do, he's just going to switch it anyways. He's going to be like, all right, you take him. I got your guy.
Yep.
You saw it in the game we won, game 4. Kyle set a perfect flare screen for Cat in the corner because Luka was not paying attention literally whatsoever to Kyle. Yep. So he had no idea the screen was even coming. Perfectly executed. That's the type of stuff you need to do when Luka's hiding out in the corner, like you were saying.
Yeah, so that has to be a thing. And Tatum driving specifically. I have no worries about Jaylen Brown driving. Man has consistently in the playoffs shown that he can drive and take good shots. Now, can he dribble with his left and not turn the ball over and do some of that stuff? No. But he has shown that he can do that. Tatum, I have never seen a guy more in love with the step back three in my life. I think he's more in love with it than James Harden and Luka Doncic.
And he's mid on it too. He shoots like
and he's not awesome. Yeah, it's like, bro, you are 6'9" and the lankiest ass dude
and strong.
Ever. Just go to the blanking rim. Like, take your midi. Yeah. Take your 16 to 18 footer. Yeah, that's a way more unstoppable shot. I know. I like him in the post taking the fadeaway shots. I like, just get him off the 3-point line unless it's pull up wide open or catch and shoot. I love him in those situations. Like, if he's open, I'm 100% okay with it. But it's the contested step backs that drive me insane. Yeah, and the last thing is not taking contested threes. Waiting on your three, getting it open, taking an open one. The Celtics, especially, we saw some of Derek White in the last series, just taking whatever damn shot he wanted with two guys in his face.
Just don't get complacent.
Don't get complacent. I think the Mavs will make you pay for taking bad shots.
Completely agree.
So take good shots, open threes. You know the Celtics are going to have bad and good shooting games. You just have to try to steal one of those bad shooting games, and I think you'll be good.
Yeah, facts. Well, that was pretty interesting dive, and we definitely correlated on most of the points. And so that kind of was expected, in my opinion, given the completely different styles of basketball these two teams play. And it's gonna be a very fun finals to watch, that's for sure. It doesn't kick off until next week, Thursday, Hardies and Hardo. So we got some time here of no basketball. Just keep watching the highlights, man. I'm telling you. Just stay positive, all right, Wolves fans? We'll be fine.
We're fine, Wolves fans, and go seasonless finals. I don't want to see Luka win a championship this early.
Mavs in 7, season 6 for Spinny. Go ahead, Hardies Hardos. Drop your comments below what you think will happen in this NBA Finals. We want to hear your guys' takes. But that's all we got. We got a short one for you for episode 104. Shout out to our Jackie Hump Raisma. 104 straight marathons and 104 straight days. That's ridiculous. That is ridiculous. This is her episode.
Go. Big shout out to her. Hug your friends and family. Thanks for listening.
Peace out, y'all.